She had planned the surprise for weeks. His favorite cake, his favorite wine. It was their anniversary, even if he had forgotten again. Still, she smiled as she balanced the cake box in one hand and unlocked the door. The apartment was dark, but music played faintly from inside. She stepped in, ready to forgive, ready to celebrate anyway. But then she heard a voice, a man's voice, laughing softly. Her smile froze. That wasn't his voice. It was someone else. She followed the sound, each step heavier than the last. And as she turned the corner into the bedroom, everything inside her broke at once. There he was, with another man, in their bed. One looked up, eyes wide, caught mid-laugh. The other, her boyfriend, just froze, his mouth opening and closing. No words, no excuses, just naked silence. The cake box slipped from her hands, hitting the floor with a dull thud. Icing smeared across the hardwood like a wound. She didn't scream. Couldn't. Her breath wouldn't come. He stood up, reaching for her, but she stepped back. The room felt like it was closing in, walls spinning. And in that second, she knew everything had been a lie. She didn't remember leaving, just the door slamming behind her. The hallway was cold, or maybe it was just her skin. Tears blurred her vision, but she kept walking. She didn't even know where to go, only that she had to get away. Her phone buzzed, his name flashing across the screen. She stared at it, hands shaking, lips trembling. Then she hit decline, over and over and over again. How many moments had been fake? How many smiles had he lied through? She slid down the wall, heart pounding in her ears. She never expected her greatest heartbreak to come from someone who once promised forever. She sat there for hours in the same spot, barely blinking. The coffee went cold, untouched, forgotten. Outside, couples passed by, laughing, holding hands, and it made her stomach twist. Her mind kept replaying the moment, the sheets, the silence, the betrayal. She wanted to scream, to cry, to run, anything but sit still. But her body felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. How long had he been lying? How many times had she missed the signs? Everything she believed about love felt fake now. The worst part wasn't that he cheated. It was that he never gave her the truth. Not even that. She remembered the beach trip, how happy they looked in photos. But now, looking back, she saw it. The way he pulled away when she touched him. The texts he'd hide. The long showers. The distance she brushed off. Love made her blind, but he made her doubt herself. Had it all been convenience? A cover for what he didn't want to admit? She gave him everything. Every part of herself. And maybe that was the problem. She never asked what he needed. But he never told her either. He just lived a lie. What kind of person lets you build a future on a secret? She felt like she was grieving someone who was never real. She stared at herself in the mirror, trying to find the cracks. Had she not been enough? Not pretty enough? Not open enough? Her thoughts turned cruel, like knives she held against her own skin. She'd been comparing herself to women her whole life. Now she didn't even know who the competition was. The pain was sharp, but the shame was worse. She hated that she still missed him. Hated it. But grief doesn't care about logic or truth. She whispered, "Who the hell am I without him?" And for the first time, the silence answered back, "You'll find out. D." She wiped her face and decided this heartbreak would not be her ending. Morning came, but the ache didn't leave with the night. She sat on the edge of her bed, phone in hand, eyes hollow. Old messages stared back at her. "I love you, forever, only you." They read like fiction now. Beautiful lies wrapped in tenderness. She scrolled up, hoping to find some clue she missed. There it was, months ago. Him canceling their date last minute. Guy's night. Dion. That must have been him. The one in the bed. The secret. Her hands trembled, but she didn't cry this time. She whispered, "You were already gone, weren't you?" And this time, she didn't wait for an answer. She needed air, space, anything that didn't remind her of him. The park was nearly empty. The trees, bare and brittle. Leaves crunched beneath her boots like echoes of everything broken. She watched an older couple walk past, laughing about something small. And for the first time, she didn't envy them. She just hoped it was real. Her heart still hurt, but it wasn't bleeding anymore. She felt raw, but alive. The betrayal had cracked something open inside her. Not weakness, not shame, just truth. And truth, even ugly truth, was better than lies. She finally told someone. Everything. Her best friend just sat there, listening, eyes full of fire and love. When she said the words, "He was with a man," her voice didn't crack. She expected judgment, pity, something sharp. But her friend just reached across the table and held her hand. "You didn't deserve that," she said, "but you'll survive it." And somehow, hearing it from someone else made it feel real. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't broken. She was betrayed. And now, she was healing. And healing, she realized, wasn't quiet. It was loud and brave. She stood in front of the closet they used to share. Every hanger, every folded shirt, smelled like him. She pulled out the shirt he wore on their first date. For a second, she froze, memories flooding back too fast. But then, she tossed it into a box marked "Donate." Item by item, she erased his presence from her space. And with every sweater, every shoe, she felt lighter. She wasn't throwing away love. She was throwing away the lie. Her hands were steady now. This time, it was Carr's choice to let go. He asked to meet. Just once. To explain. You. She almost said no. But then, she wanted to see his eyes. They met outside the coffee shop where they'd shared so many mornings. He looked smaller somehow. Nervous, uncertain. She didn't yell. Didn't cry. She just listened. His voice shook as he said, "I didn't know how to tell you." "Nah," she replied. "You didn't have to hide. Just not from AJ May. Ye went out. Pity bond." Silence stretched between them like a final goodbye. "I loved you," he said, "in the only way I could." And with a quiet breath, she answered, "But it wasn't the way I needed." "Eh." She turned and walked away, not looking back. Each step felt like freedom she hadn't known she needed. The world hadn't changed, but she had. She no longer blamed herself, no longer carried his secret like a wound. There was sadness, yes, but it didn't own her anymore. She felt the sun on her skin, and finally, it felt warm again. Love had betrayed her, but it had also taught her something fierce. She had survived the breaking, and now she was building something new. Not for him, not for anyone else, for her. She didn't expect to laugh that night, but she did. A friend dragged her to the rooftop, promising no drama, just wind. And somehow, surrounded by laughter and lights, she let go for a little while. Someone told a terrible joke, and she laughed so hard she cried. And in that second, she realized she wasn't thinking about him. Not the bed, not the lies, just the now. She didn't feel whole yet, but she felt alive, and that mattered more than being okay. The people around her saw her, not who she'd been with. and for the first time, she felt seen. Later that night, the silence crept back in. She found the photo tucked in a drawer she forgot to empty. There they were, arms wrapped, eyes bright, smiles wide. Her chest tightened. Healing didn't mean forgetting. She sat down, photo in hand, and let the memories come. They weren't all fake. Some were real, and that's what hurt most. She whispered, "Thank you for loving me the way you could. Nai." Then she gently set the photo face down. It didn't need to be burned, just released. And that night, she slept with her heart a little quieter. She stood in the mirror and saw someone different now. Not broken, not betrayed, just a becoming. She tried on the red dress she once thought was too much. Nioreni. Now it felt like exactly enough. Her reflection didn't flinch. Her eyes didn't look away. She smiled, truly smiled, for the first time in weeks. The past was still part of her story, but it wasn't the whole book anymore. She wasn't rebuilding who she used to be. She was discovering someone even stronger. She lit a candle and opened a fresh page. No more writing about him, just her. She scribbled thoughts like tiny confessions, pain, lessons, new hopes. For the first time, she wasn't trying to make sense of him. She was trying to understand herself. The rain tapped gently on the glass, steady and forgiving. She paused, smiled, and wrote, "I survived what I never saw coming. Ihima, chi." And that line didn't feel bitter. It felt true. The story had broken her wide open. But now, she was the one holding the pen. She walked the same beach where they once kissed under a pink sky. Only this time, she was alone, and it didn't feel empty. The tide rolled in, slow and rhythmic, like her breath. She let her toes sink into the sand and closed her eyes. There was sadness, sure, but it didn't rule her. She'd learned to sit with her pain and not be consumed by it. The past didn't vanish, but it no longer defined her. She whispered into the breeze, "I'm still here. Xiao Mei." Not broken, not lost, just beautifully changed. And the waves carried her words somewhere far, far away. Her eyes met the mirror again, this time unflinching. She saw every crack, every scar, and didn't want to hide them. The heartbreak had wrecked her, but it had also revealed her. She wasn't just the girl who was cheated on. She was the woman who walked away and kept walking. The woman who faced silence, shame, and still chose to speak. She still had nights where it hurt, but mornings came anyway, and every sunrise was proof she hadn't disappeared. She'd endured. She took one last breath and smiled, not for anyone else, just for herself. Because sometimes, the most powerful love story is the one you write alone.